So this is a piece of corrugated cardboard that I've cut down to fit my tag journal. You may remember this is my 8x4 tag journal. So I have a piece of corrugated cardboard that I've had in my stash for a while. Can't even stand that up now. There we go. And I'm going to create something a bit Christmassy today. I have some white gesso, indigo blue white gesso. So I'm just going to take a paintbrush and I'm going to give the tag a coating of the white gesso, but I'm not going to go completely and utterly mad with it. I'm just going to lightly go over, dab in, because I don't want a full, total, even coverage. I just want to knock back that kind of crafty, cardboardy coloured paper that's on the tag. I've left some of the pieces of paper on there, as you can see. I've not completely removed all of the paper from the corrugation. I've just left it with some on. So the first coat is going to be white gesso all over, just to give me a nice kind of base in which to build up my image. Just make it a little bit darker at the top, a bit thicker, just kind of all uneven all over. That will do. So I'm now going to grab my heat gun and get that nice and dry before moving on to the second stage. Okay, so that's almost dry. Now for step number 2, I'm going to spritz over some dilutions. This is the Campso Teal, and I'm just going to make it darker in some areas and lighter in others, and then take some clear water and I'm just going to water that down a little bit and then let that run off. Now you can see it's all starting to run. There we go. And drip down from the top, gathering those corrugations, and then I'm now going to give that a blast and get that set and dried in place. So that's pretty much dry now. So the next step is I have some Luminart silks. Now this is the ice. So this has it's like an iridescence to it. Now I've had these for quite some time now, and I know that they are water reactive. So no matter what I put down here, I know it's going to react to the dilutions. There's going to be a little bit of kind of sparkle in the background, as if it hasn't all washed away, but it will pick up some of that blue and transfer in, which is fine because these are quite old and I don't mind if they get a little bit contaminated. The idea is just to get a little bit of that kind of sparkly glitter into the background. That should do. So if I can catch it in the light, you can see it up here, but not necessarily on the corrugation. Maybe a little bit at the bottom down here. Anyway, I need to get it dry. So as you can see, there is a little bit of like glimmer just in that background there, but not enough for me. So I'm going to bring out my tub of Dazzling Details from Stampin' Up. Now I've had these for absolutely ages and they're nearly running out. So I'm just going to grab the glitter glue, if you like, and a brush, and I'm just going to paint it in. And go over and just spread that glitter glue so that it pretty much goes everywhere up over the top. Now you can see now that's starting to pick up the light a bit better now, so it's more of a frosted look. But just to add a little bit more in, I've got some baby blue stickles, so I'm also going to throw some of that in there as well, so quite a bit. And I'm going to do exactly the same thing again, so using the same brush I'm just going to paint that in, paint it all over, backwards and forwards, getting it in those grooves and really build up that nice kind of glittery background. So we've got a nice kind of frosted shimmer all over the tag. I've done that in some water and then just give that a nice gentle heat, don't want to overdo it. And then I'll be right back when all this is dry. Okay, so for the next step I'm going to be using one of the sheets from this collection of I've called Christmas music trees. There are different sizes in the set, as you can see, so they're useful for different kind of art journals and mixed media projects, but this little collection here is the right size for my tag. So I'm going to probably cut these three out and use these three in the background for my tag. So I'm going to go away and cut these out, which I've printed off on my inkjet printer, onto fairly thick cardstock. It's not photocopier cardstock or printer cardstock, it's just a little bit thicker, just a little bit heavier, just for a bit of stability. So I'm going to cut these three out and then I'll be right back. My trees are now cut out. I also have some modelling paste, and this is coarse, so this has got a grit to it. Now if you don't have any with a grit or this kind of modelling paste, then you can just add sand or some micro beads too. It really is up to you how you mix in whatever you want to. Now this will stay white as well, so this is the beauty. So I'm just positioning my trees just here, just towards the top of it, so I know the kind of line that I need for these. So I've also got a tub of super thick gel medium. This is the super thick Slap It On from Indigo Blue. It's incredibly thick, as you can see. I can tip the pot upside down and none of it falls out. So this is like a super thick gel medium, and the reason I'm using this is because I want it to go into those holes, into the corrugations, and grab. So this is kind of like a thick glue that's going to just hold everything in place. So just add that to the back, butter it up a little bit, bits on the tops, and then I can lower that down, push it down so it goes into those corrugations, and then that should hold, he says. Now I can grab my very, very coarse modelling paste and I can start to layer like a snow effect on the bottom. And if I wanted to, I could actually add a little bit just up the sides of the trees too, just to give it that little bit of a snowy effect. And scrape a bit more down towards the bottom, just fill those corrugations, just to give it that impression that we've got snow on the ground. This is one of those projects where it's actually a lot of fun to get a bit messy. Haha, love it, love it, love it, love it. Now, while I've still got that gel medium out, I'm going to grab one of these alpha chips, or the word chips from Tim Holtz again, and I'm going to do the same thing. Just grab some of that gel medium, don't need a lot, and I'm just going to butter the back like so, and then I'm going to drop that down at the bottom on top of that embossing paste or modelling paste. Now I'm hoping that's going to bed in and stick. I said I'm hoping. And also I've gone into my Tim Holtz paper dolls collection and I've pulled out this one with the dog, this chappie with the dog. So I'm also going to grab some of the glue from there, just butter up the top, the back. I'm not particularly too bothered about getting it right the way to the edges. I just want somewhere for it to hold and hold it in place. A lump in that bit there, just some on the head, just take it all the way up. Then I can turn that over and I can stand him just like so. So we've got those lovely trees in the background. And that, take the scenic route there. Now I'm going to leave that to dry. I'm going to go wash these up and put them all away, and I'll be right back once this has set in place. So it's now the next day. I actually left this to dry overnight, so it's now in the morning, not even 9 o'clock yet. So to finish the tag off, I want to add a little bit of grunge and brown kind of distress around the edges, just to give it that kind of vintage feel, because we have the vintage photograph in there from those paper dolls. So I'm just going to use the Archival ink potting soil, which is my go-to permanent ink colour if I want a kind of vintagey photo feel to a project, but I want it to be permanent rather than water reactive. So all I'm going to do is just go all the way around the edges, just darkening those corners. Just to add a little bit of grunge, just catching the edges of that word chip. Just darkening it all up. Just catching the corners. And this just helps to bring it all together and add that nice kind of vintagey, grungy feel to it. Just catch a little bit of that snow at that side, just to pick out the texture, like so. So I think that is going to be it for that tag. Get rid of those bits. I'll probably have to get a new foam now, because that embossing paste has, or texture paste has ripped that foam to pieces now, so I'll have to replace that. But I think that's it. What I could do is I could just add a few baubles in glitter glue on those Christmas trees, which I think I will do. So let's just grab some stickles. What have I got here? So we've got blues, so if I add any reds, that's going to give it a pop of colour, probably. And I've also got some greens, so a couple of reds and greens, just to add a little bit of contrasting pop of colour. So if I just put a couple of dots here and there, just to make those trees look a little bit more authentically Christmas, if there is such a thing. And just add 1 or two little blimps up there at the top. And I think that's going to do us. Little pops of colour, but not too much that it's going to overpower the blue and the glitter. As you can see, that shine here from at the top there, that frosty kind of glimmer that's in the sky at the top there as well. I think I'm going to call this done.